speaking of dickheads, let's move on because we got a little bit of a problem in Major League Baseball that I think we've been hiding for way too long, and that is drugs in Major League Baseball. I'm not going to ask you to name names under any circumstances throughout this whole conversation, but you and I have both, and separate places, separate people, we have heard about many incidences with drugs in Major League Baseball. Why in the flying hell aren't they doing a better job testing players? So I don't know if the fans know how this works. Maybe you can explain how drug testing is done in baseball.
How drug testing is done in baseball. Now, there is essentially no drug testing in baseball. That's exactly how it happens, unless you are, I don't know what the best way to say it, right? We were over the phone, we were kind of having struggling to say exactly what the terminology may be. But once you get caught, let's say if you're driving under the influence of a drug, or if you're in a bar like Josh Hamilton, maybe doing a line off of somebody's body, and somebody says, hey, police officer, that's probably not right. Or if you're you get pulled over with a bunch of coke in your nose. Once you're arrested, once you're actually charged or a ticket or whatever you want to charge with something, then Major League Baseball can go in and test you. You have to go into a program and you can get tested more continuously. But outside of that, basically there's nothing they can do.
So the reason we bring this up is because now there has been a lot of talk over the last couple of weeks about Reds pitcher Wade Miley, who, based on conversations in court and affidavits and a lot of other text messages, they are saying that he was one of the people who provided drugs to Tyler Skaggs, God rest his soul, who died of a drug overdose. Eric Kay, who was the Angels' director of media operations, I believe at the time, is now in jail for 20 years because he supplied Tyler Skaggs with some drugs that contained fentanyl. He ended up overdosing. Now, David, neither one of us are Boy Scouts, over here. Have you ever tried an illegal drug?
What? Random? Have I ever tried an illegal drug, James? Yes, I have tried.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if I've ever tried an illegal drug.
All right, then I won't bring you up. I have tried an illegal drug on very, very rare occasions, and it was given to me by someone. I was the one who chose to do said drug. Why? So if I go to my buddy, let's call him Sean, and I say, hey, Sean, listen, I want to get messed up tonight. Can you get me some Molly? So if I get Molly from Sean and I overdose, now Sean's got to go to jail. I'm the one who asked him for it. Like, if everybody who had an overdose had their friend arrested when they gave him the drug, there'd be millions of people in jail. Nobody just says, oh, guess what? I'm going to go get a drug tonight. You usually get it from your friends, correct?
I think what you're trying to get at here is Tyler Skaggs and that other people were supplying him with drugs, correct?
Yeah.
And that now they're going after those players.
Correct. And it's garbage. It's absolute garbage. Instead of testing guys like we should be for certain drugs, I don't think you should be testing for marijuana. It's legal in like 30 states now in some way, shape, or form. But if you're a cokehead, and people know you're a cokehead. So, for example, based on what you said earlier, the team can say, oh, yeah, we know he's got a drug problem, but because of the rules of the players of the collective bargaining agreement, we're not allowed to test him. So let's let this guy flush his career, flush his life down the toilet because we made a bad deal with the Players Association. That's ridiculous.
Okay, so that in this conversation, I don't agree that drugs of abuse are essentially the way they term it in Major League Baseball. Drugs of abuse, I don't think that it should be a free pass. At the same time, I never believe in any way possible, I don't believe that in certain jobs when they're not using like heavy equipment and stuff, or a doctor or other people's lives depend on you, that you should be tested, or you're not teaching kids, you're not working with kids or something. You shouldn't be Your job should not require you to be tested for drugs. I don't agree with it. And that's a business crossing a line to me. At the same time, because we can sit here and go, oh, they just care about their health. They just care about them. It's also infringing on your right to do whatever you want to do. And it's not an employer's job, and it's not their employer's place. I've always heeded drug testing in positions and roles that didn't. You're not influencing anything. Now, at the same time, I feel like they do need to do more. And I never agreed with Major League Baseball getting rid of a lot of those issues. I've been on Major League teams. Marijuana is incredibly prevalent, prevalent, and it shifted from smoking marijuana to doing vaping machines, vape pens. It was kind of funny playing in my career. I got to see like this whole weird transition of other people doing drugs, and it was incredibly prevalent. I never understood it. I didn't do it. I never tried it at the time, and I didn't care and all that stuff. And I just didn't understand like how people stay motivated, stay focused, and stay locked in. But then I understand that people are different mentally than me, and they need things to relax their brains because they're so focused and so locked in and so go, and their bodies are broken down and they need to be able to relax. When it came to other drugs, I had a feeling other people were doing it. But you never saw it. Like it's one of those things. If you're a part of it, you think everybody's doing it. If you're not, you don't think anybody's doing it because they don't talk about it. It's not like we walk in the old clubhouse and they're like, "Yeah, dude did a bump last night. It was amazing." Or you're just like, "Let's go bump up." There's nothing like that. People aren't talking like that.
But you have witnessed it at certain points.
Yes, I had witnessed it, and I don't understand how some of those people do it. That's what I remember. I actually, when you said it, now I remember seeing a couple of guys doing it.
Let me just jump in.
What I saw a lot more, James, and this is actually gets into the Skaggs case, is painkillers.
Right. And a lot. And I wanted to bring it all around.
And a lot of painkillers, a lot of prescriptions getting passed around. And without a doubt, like me and my best friends, we passed prescriptions. It's definitely for anti-inflammatories. That was common practice.
Yeah.
But that's completely different. But painkillers, yeah. Dude, like you're dealing with stuff. Major League Baseball is a job where you were asked to do stuff to your body and destroy your body for the team and for a career and for your family. And there's times where you just have to take something to get through it. I pitched an entire month on codeine, an entire month, because I tore an adductor and I had to pitch, and I wasn't ever going to tell my team I was hurt, even though they knew I was hurt. They didn't care. I kept stepping on that mound. They were doing their best they can to make me feel better. And then I was on the side doing whatever I had to do to be on that mound. I was very careful about what I took, but I was also very careful about making sure I was on that mound.
Did you get that from a teammate?
No.
Okay. So
but at the same time, I had gotten that and given it to teammates.
Okay. So perfect. Are you now responsible for what they do?
I know. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be.
And that's my whole point.
You're accepting the risk when you take it. Now, at the same time, something does happen. God, I would feel horrible.
Feel terrible. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But it's still not your responsibility. Somebody else asked you for it. You gave it to them. You expect them to be responsible. But you mentioned one very important thing at the beginning of your little diatribe, talking about the difference between work and home and not being able to cross that line. There is one difference, though. He was going to work. He. Pronouns, pal. Mr. Skaggs, Tyler Skaggs, was going to work and getting it at his place of work. That's the problem that I have with it. When you bring it into the clubhouse, that's when the line is no longer there. When it's being passed around in the clubhouse, and then you're the team and you say, "Oh, wait a minute, this guy's got a drug problem. I can't drug test him." Well, hold on. You should be able to, because he's doing it in your clubhouse, on your grounds, while they're at work. That's the difference.
Only if they catch you. Only if they know about it.
Only if they catch you. But obviously, a lot of people knew Skaggs had a problem with drugs.
I don't think here's the thing is when all this comes out after the fact, it sounds so much worse than in the fact during 100%. The moment. And we go, oh, everybody knew. No. Like Wade Miley's getting pulled into this, right? And I don't know his full connection. We will not know unless he speaks.
No.
And even then we probably won't know what really. And we talked about Matt Harvey. Those were his boys. Those were me and my friends. So outside of that, probably no one else knew. Or like when you're just seeing him, probably 99% of what he was taking isn't illegal to take and isn't an illegal drug. It was the 1% that ended his life because that 1% was laced and that 1% caught him and that 1% was different than the 99% that he was doing just to stay on the field.
How bad is the problem in Major League Baseball?
I think the bigger problem is the nature of the game, and the nature of the game will never change. And any sport, it takes so much to play at a level, especially at a certain age level, that you're asking for everything from somebody. To give you everything, they have to fight and get through stuff with their bodies, and that'll never change. And the problem is this has always been this. Babe Ruth has dealt with this. Hank Aaron dealt with it. Those players in the 90s dealt with it, and they dealt with it in a different way by taking steroids. It made them feel better. But they also had to take a bunch of stuff to go to sleep and to come down from all that stuff. This is a problem that has always been there. So to say how big of a problem is, it's a sports problem that will never change because you have to get rid of the sport, or you have to tell players to stop playing for them to stop.
Well, they need to do something, because when you know that someone has a drug problem and you're not doing anything to stop it, you are an enabler. And that's what teams are doing by letting guys do this kind of stuff when they know about it. And Major League Baseball really needs to talk with the Players Association and say, hey, when we think there's a problem, we don't have to make it public, but something's got to change. This can't continue. It just can't.
Yeah, I don't think it's as big of a problem as this is. There's a painkiller problem, then there's a illegal painkillers and illegal drug problem, and that's such a tiny. I think that's a tiny percentage. Painkiller problem is.
But I think there's a bigger problem with illicit drugs in baseball than we know. We have heard and seen a lot of people get caught with cocaine over the years. I mean, is it any more prevalent than regular society? Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea. But you're talking about guys with a lot of money. When you have a lot of money, you can put a lot of it up your nose. Let's call it what it is. They've got to figure out some way to discourage these players from doing it. And if that means changing the collective bargaining agreement and just saying, hey, you know what? We're going to drug test you just for cocaine, heroin, and crystal meth. Something. Let it be something. You don't have to include everything. We understand that guys are going to be on painkillers on occasion, but it's not really hard getting painkillers from your doctor, is it?
Yes, it's a lot harder than you would do it. It's
I've got some Percocet right now in my house if I wanted it.
Yeah, but why did you get it? Because you had something.
Yeah, I had surgery.
But you asked how difficult it is to get it from a doctor, right? Like to go to a doctor and say, I need Percocet, and they say, why? Pain. Just because I want it. That doesn't happen. That's not as prevalent as it used to be.
If you explain that you're in a lot of pain, they'll give it to you.
That's different. Yes, but you have to there's time, and you have to figure that out, and that's not, you don't just show up and say, I'm in a lot of pain. From what? Well, my body hurts. They're not good. They don't just throw out Percocet. I mean, but again, you have to create a relationship with these people. I don't think it's as big of a problem. It just, when it hits, you go, oh my God, it's a huge problem. It's not, these people aren't popping Percocets left and right. A lot of times it's just normal pain.
Well, all I know is that, in my opinion, there's a little bit of a problem in Major League Baseball. They need to clean it up. But it's funny, these guys, they're supposed to be role models, and that's a big problem. You don't want your role models being caught with drugs. You don't want little kids going to eBay, going to J&J Sports Cards to buy cards of players who are drug heads. You don't want that. Nobody's going out and buying a Josh Hamilton card. But if you do want great cards, go to J&J Sports Cards on eBay. We'll have the link on the, on the description, and we're supposed to have a lower third, but I think my producer's kind of falling asleep on me. I don't know what the hell happened. But if you want really, really cool sports cards like this one, a beautiful first Bowman David Aardsma autographed card, you can find it on eBay. Not on my store, because I collect David Aardsma. I'm the only guy who does collect David Aardsma cards. Not even his children do. But if you like Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, the big boys, we got stuff for you on J&J Sports Cards, so go check it out on eBay.